The ground shakes, not from thunder, from feet, too many to count. Shields collide somewhere in the dark, not clashing, pressing, a wall against a wall. Breath turns to steam, fingers tighten until knuckles burn. Someone screams a name. No one answers. Orders are shouted but swallowed by wind, by distance, by fear. A horn sounds once, then stops. Men look left, right, forward. Nothing moves the way it should. The earth is wet, not with rain. A shadow stumbles past. No shield, no helmet, eyes wide, mouth open, trying to speak, but whatever he saw has stolen the words. Another sound. Not a cry. Not a command. Steel dragged across stone. Somewhere ahead the line bends, not breaks, bends. And when a line bends, it never returns the same. Hands shake, not from cold, from waiting. Every man knows what comes next. Every man hopes he is wrong. No one can see the enemy clearly. Only hear them. Only feel them. A body falls, then another. Someone drops to one knee, not wounded, just overwhelmed by the weight of the moment. This is not glory. This is not legend. This is the instant before history decides who will be remembered and who will be erased. The men hold their ground. But in their silence, a question spreads faster than fear itself. If the Spartans do not advance now, what happens to everything they died for? The year is 479 BCE. The Persian invasion of Greece has not ended, it has paused. Athens has been burned, abandoned, reclaimed, then threatened again. The land itself feels uncertain, as if it no longer knows who it belongs to. To the north, the Persian army remains massive, disciplined, and patient, not rushing, not retreating, waiting. To the south, the Greek alliance is fragile. City-states that once fought each other now stand together, but trust is thin. Old grudges have not disappeared. They've simply gone quiet. At the center of this tension lies Plataea, a plain surrounded by hills, open ground, no walls, no natural protection, a place where armies cannot hide mistakes. It is here that both sides gather, not to raid, not to test, but to end something. The Persians believe time is on their side. Their supply lines stretch far, but their numbers remain overwhelming. They expect hesitation, delay, fear. The Greeks believe something else, that this battle must happen now or never. Sparta arrives late, as always. But when they arrive, they do not apologize. They do not explain. They take position in silence, heavy shields, bronze armor, red cloaks dulled by dust. There are nearly 10,000 Spartan and allied hoplites present, more than at any moment since the war began. Veterans, survivors, men who trained their entire lives for a single task. Many of them carry something else. Memory. 3 years earlier, at a narrow mountain pass called Thermopylae, 300 Spartans and their king did not retreat. They held. They died. And in doing so, they changed how the war would be remembered. Now the battlefield is wide, open, unforgiving. No cliffs, no choke points. No excuses. The nights before the battle are tense. Fires burn low. Rations are measured carefully. Messengers move between camps, but fewer words are exchanged each night. Signals from the hills go unanswered. Runners return late, or not at all. No one panics, but no one sleeps well either. Because everyone understands one thing. This is not a defensive stand. This is a reckoning. And once the first shield moves forward on the plains of Plataea, there will be no way to stop what follows. The Spartans do not introduce themselves. They do not boast. They do not explain their past. They are known by what they endure. From childhood, discipline replaces choice. Hunger is controlled, pain is expected, fear is studied, not avoided. A Spartan soldier learns early that hesitation is more dangerous than injury. Every morning begins the same way. Equipment checked, armor tightened, silence enforced. A man who speaks without reason is corrected, not with anger but with consequence. Training does not stop in war. Formations are rehearsed even when exhausted, shields raised again and again until arms shake, not because they might be used, but because they will. Among these men are survivors of earlier battles, not heroes, survivors. They do not speak of Thermopylae openly, but they remember every drill, every command, every pause between breaths carries it. Spartan law is simple. Stand your ground. Protect the man beside you. Do not retreat. Failure is not punished immediately. It is remembered. At Plataea, their routines remain unchanged, despite the scale of what gathers before them. They eat sparingly. They clean their armor meticulously. They wait. Emotion is not absent, it is controlled. Some men think of brothers who never returned. Others think of sons who will never know what tomorrow brings. But no one lets those thoughts escape their face. Because a Spartan is not trained to feel nothing. He is trained to feel only what is useful. As days pass, tension grows. Orders are delayed, movements postponed. The enemy remains visible but distant. That waiting becomes its own test. The younger soldiers struggle with it, the veterans do not. They know this feeling, the quiet before impact, the sense that something is wrong but not yet broken. A runner arrives late one evening, breathless, dust-covered. He delivers a message that is repeated quietly among officers but never explained to the ranks. That night, watch rotations double. No announcement is made. No warning is given. But the Spartans sense it. Something has shifted. And when soldiers who have never known fear begin to check their straps one last time, it is not because they doubt themselves. It is because they understand what the morning may demand. The signs do not arrive all at once. They appear in fragments. A signal fire from the hills burns longer than expected, then goes dark. No confirmation follows. Messengers sent to Allied positions return confused. Orders seem unchanged, yet formations subtly shift without explanation. At night, unfamiliar sounds drift across the plain. Not movement, not voices, just presence. One patrol reports seeing figures where no camp should be. Another reports nothing at all, yet their torches are extinguished when they return. No alarms are raised. But the officers begin to whisper. Water routes are altered, rations redistributed, shields inspected again, not for damage but alignment. A runner is sent at dawn. He does not return by midday. Another is sent before dusk. He returns, but his message contradicts the first. No one corrects him. That silence is louder than any command. The men feel it now. Not panic but pressure, like the air before a storm that refuses to break. That night no one laughs. The ground feels closer, the darkness heavier. Even the veterans sleep lightly, weapons within reach. Just before dawn a horn sounds in the distance, once. Then never again. No response follows. No explanation is offered. Only the sound of armor being lifted. Slowly, carefully, as if everyone knows the next movement. But no one wants to be the first to make it. The morning begins without signal. No trumpet, no speech. The sun rises anyway. Dust lifts across the plain as formations tighten. Shields lock, feet adjust, breathing synchronizes. Then movement. Not sudden, not chaotic. Calculated. A ripple passes through the Persian lines, too smooth to be accidental. The Greeks notice it instantly. Orders are shouted, repeated, lost, recovered. The distance closes. Not fast. Relentless. The first impact is not loud, it is heavy. Shield meets shield, wood groans, bronze scrapes. The ground trembles beneath the pressure of thousands moving as one. Visibility collapses, dust, sweat, heat. Commands shorten to single words, then gestures, then instinct. Men push, fall back, regain footing. Somewhere a formation breaks, not shattered but compressed. Too many bodies in too little space. Sound becomes meaningless, everything blends. A Spartan drops his spear. Another steps forward without thinking. The line holds, not because it must, but because it has no other shape. Time fractures. Moments stretch, then vanish. The Persians press harder than expected, angled, coordinated, silent. Then confusion. A flank shifts, not ordered, not explained. Someone shouts to advance, another shouts to hold. The ground gives way beneath a fallen body. Others stumble, recover, push again. Then suddenly, the pressure eases. Not victory, not retreat. Absence. Where resistance was strongest, there is now nothing. No sound, no movement. Only open ground and drifting dust. The Spartans do not chase. They do not celebrate. They advance cautiously, too cautiously for a battle meant to be decisive. Something is wrong. When the dust finally settles, the plain feels empty in places it should not. Men look around, count, recount. Names are called. Some are not answered. The enemy is no longer visible. But neither is the certainty of what just happened. And as the sun reaches its highest point, the battlefield grows unnaturally quiet. Not peaceful. Unfinished. The battle does not end with celebration. It ends with accounting. As the dust settles across the Plataean plain, the first priority is not pursuit, it is control. Officers move quickly to reform ranks. Shields are recounted. Units are reassembled into shapes that resemble order, even if certainty has already been lost. Scouts are dispatched in every direction. Not in haste, in precision. Small groups move toward the hills where Persian forces were last seen. Others trace the edges of the battlefield, searching for signs of retreat, broken equipment, discarded armor, blood trails, anything that explains what happened in the moments when resistance vanished. What they find does not align. In some areas, the ground is churned violently, clear signs of intense pressure and struggle. In others, the earth is almost untouched, as if entire formations simply stopped existing in place. Weapons are recovered without bodies. Shields lie face down, unbroken. Footprints run forward and then end. Commanders begin comparing reports. One scout claims the enemy withdrew east in organized columns. Another insists there were no formations to follow, only scattered movement that dissolved into nothing. The timelines do not match. Runners sent to Allied contingents return with contradictory information. Some claim they received orders to advance that never came. Others report holding positions long after the fighting nearby had already ceased. No one agrees on when the battle truly ended. That uncertainty spreads upward. Spartan officers, known for directness, do not issue immediate explanations. Instead, they tighten discipline. Questioning is discouraged, not punished, but redirected. Men are told to focus on rest, resupply, and readiness. Names are taken. Quietly, losses are recorded in private tallies rather than public announcements. Some soldiers notice that certain names are skipped during recounts, neither confirmed dead nor officially listed as surviving. When asked, officers respond with short answers. Unconfirmed. Missing. Awaiting verification. Days pass. Search parties expand farther into surrounding terrain. Caves are checked, tree lines examined, streams followed downstream. No mass retreat is discovered. No large burial grounds are found. The Persians are gone, but not in a way that fits previous encounters. Interrogations begin. Captured stragglers are questioned through translators. Their answers are vague, inconsistent, or strangely cautious. Some claim orders changed suddenly. Others insist command structures collapsed without explanation. A few refuse to speak at all. Official records begin to take shape, but unevenly. Certain details are emphasized. The strategic importance of the victory, the unity of the Greek alliance, the decisive end of the invasion. Other details are softened or excluded. The moments of confusion. The gaps in formation. The unexplained absence of entire units. Later historians will notice revisions between early reports and finalized accounts. Small changes in wording, shifts in sequence, entire paragraphs removed. No single alteration seems suspicious. Together, they form a pattern. The battle is declared a success. Sacrifices are honored. The war is said to be over. Yet among the soldiers who were there, something lingers. They speak of Plataea less than other battles. When they do, they focus on discipline, endurance, and outcome, not on specific moments, not on the center of the field, not on the time when sound vanished. The investigation ends without announcement. No formal explanation is given for the discrepancies. The records stand as they are. Incomplete, authoritative, unchallenged, and buried within them is a silence that suggests the search did not fail. It simply reached a place where answers were no longer permitted. When the official story ends, speculation begins. Not immediately, not loudly, quietly, in fragments, in what is not explained. Over time, several theories emerge, not from rumor alone, but from the spaces between records, the contradictions in testimony, and the details that refuse to align. None are proven. None are dismissed. They exist because the truth leaves room for them. The most accepted explanation is also the most convenient. According to this theory, Persian command recognized the moment was lost and executed a disciplined withdrawal. Not a rout, not a collapse, a controlled disengagement designed to preserve remaining forces. On paper it fits. The Persians were experienced. Their officers were capable. A strategic retreat would explain the sudden absence and the lack of pursuit. But the problem lies in the details. No other Persian withdrawal during the war resembled this one. Retreats leave traces, discarded equipment, staggered movement, defensive rearguards. At Plataea, those signs are inconsistent. Some sectors show no evidence of retreat at all. And more troubling, Greek forces did not report contact with rearguard units, which would have been essential for a withdrawal of that scale. If this was a perfect retreat, why was it never repeated? Another explanation shifts focus inward. This theory suggests the Persian forces did not withdraw, but fractured. A breakdown in command, conflicting orders, units advancing while others hesitated, discipline unraveling under pressure. Such collapses are not unheard of. But again, something doesn't fit. Even collapsed armies leave chaos behind. Bodies, abandoned standards, clusters of resistance or panic. At Plataea, the battlefield is unevenly silent. Some formations vanish without sign of struggle. Others show intense pressure but no resolution. More unsettling still, Greek accounts describe moments where resistance simply ceased, not weakened. As if command did not collapse slowly, but stopped altogether. This theory is rarely written, but often whispered. It proposes that something went catastrophically wrong during the Greek advance. Not a defeat, but a moment so costly, so destabilizing, that it threatened the meaning of victory itself. A misjudged maneuver. a friendly collision of forces, a deadly compression in terrain that should not have failed. According to this idea, losses occurred that could not be openly acknowledged, especially among elite units whose reputation defined Spartan authority. Records then were adjusted, not erased but simplified, victories emphasized, confusion minimized, names quietly omitted. The war still ended in Greek favor, but the cost was partially hidden. Critics of this theory argue that Spartan culture would not allow concealment. Supporters counter with a harder truth. Spartan culture demanded control of the narrative above all else. The final theory is the most unsettling and the least concrete. It suggests that something occurred at Plataea that did not fit existing categories of warfare. Not supernatural, not mythical, simply unfamiliar. A convergence of movement, terrain, and timing that caused a sudden, irreversible collapse in a specific sector, one that neither side fully understood in the moment. This theory relies on absence, on reports that describe emptiness, on witnesses who speak of silence where noise should have been, on accounts that end mid-description. It is not that historians believe something impossible happened. It is that they acknowledge something uncomfortable may have happened, and that history lacked the language to preserve it accurately. What unites all these theories is not evidence. It is restraint. No ancient source commits fully to any explanation. No commander leaves a definitive account. No official record explains the moment when certainty vanished from the battlefield. Instead, history settles on outcome. Victory, liberation, end of invasion, and leaves the rest untouched. Because sometimes, what history remembers is not what happened, but what it needed to believe. History records the Battle of Plataea as an ending, the final stand, the last advance, the moment the Persian invasion of Greece collapsed for good. And yet when we look closer, what survives is not certainty, but silence. No ancient writer gives a complete account of the battle's final hours. Descriptions narrow, details fade, language becomes careful, restrained, almost hesitant. Victory is declared, but the moment of victory is never fully described. Instead, historians focus on what came after: dedications made to the gods, monuments raised, alliances strengthened. They speak of outcomes, not experiences, because experiences are harder to control. Plataea leaves behind too many gaps, too many moments where records stop asking questions and start repeating conclusions. Why do certain accounts contradict each other on basic movements? Why are some units mentioned only once and never again? Why does the battlefield itself feel more like a place that absorbed answers rather than revealed them? The Spartans returned home as victors, but victory did not make them talkative. In later years, their reputation hardened into legend: discipline, precision, certainty. Yet the men who stood on that plain carried something else with them, something that never entered official history. Not fear, not doubt, something unresolved. Perhaps that is why Plataea feels different from other battles, not because it was larger or bloodier or more important, but because it was too final, too clean on the surface, too quiet beneath. History often tells us who won. It rarely tells us what was lost in the moment of winning. So the truth of Plataea remains where it has always been. Between the lines, inside the silences, hidden in the confidence of the official story. And that leaves us with one final question. What part of the victory was never meant to be remembered? Share your theory in the comments. If you want more hidden, unsettling stories buried beneath famous victories, like this video, subscribe to the channel and press the bell icon so you don't miss what comes next. because the next story will be even darker. Bell.